But yeah, just have me in the background, just we're gonna chill. I'm gonna read to you free audiobook, fall asleep to my voice, my good sexy radio voice, do your homework, whatever you gotta do. Just vibe with me for today. Again, we're reading Star Wars Brotherhood. This is part two. If you missed part one, you could go back and watch it again on my stream. We read 7 chapters, so we're on chapter 8, Meal Alabeth. And I will not be attempting to voice act any of the characters except for Master Yoda, because I like how he sounds. Jedi Initiate Mil Alabeth tried to keep up. She really tried. Come on, her friend Vivir yelled, and even still, they trailed the group of 7 younglings ahead of them. With Mil falling even further behind, their footsteps echoed through the large stone hall of the Jedi Temple, and she looked up to catch her friends rounding the corner to get to the turbo lift. First, Amiket Ayama, a Syrian girl with thick black hair tied up in a bun. Then, Ali and Male Tur turned a pair of purple-skinned Twi'lek twins. The familial bond, making sure each always pushed the other forward. Then 3 more younglings dashed ahead, and even Felix Yabir, the young Celestian with shorter legs, sprinted faster than Mil. They disappeared from view, though Mil managed to take the left turn and see the group of initiates moving quickly, a whirl of voices and excitement that startled the very serious adults on either side of the wall. Finally, Viret pulled ahead, lingering enough to glance at Mil, as if that single look repeated her words before she sprinted onward. Viret's stag's curly hair bounced on her pale cheeks with each step, and she broke further away. It's buffering TT. Well, if I need you to do a quick recap, I'll say so. Okay, alright, that's cool. If you're doing I will be here. And plus you have my number, so you just text me that you missed something. Or if it completely crashes, but I got you. So far, I don't know if it conquered out to miss anything, but basically we're following this Jedi initiate called Mil Alabeth, and I guess we're talking about younglings. So that's cool. I don't know what part they'll play in this story, but I'm very curious. Mil took a moment to close her eyes. She was already behind anyway, and she could feel the anxiety creeping in. She went back to her recent practice of doing the opposite of her Jedi teachings. Wherever she felt the force, she tried to push it away, quiet it, keep it at bay. Another voice came through to break her concentration, this one with the robotic ring of a synthesized voice. Younglings, walk please. But the protocol droid failed to move fast enough, its arms and legs out of sync in stilted toddling. They all walk like that. Protocol droids lack speed to begin with, but this one had a double case of bad luck. First, it received a fill-in assignment with younglings instead of serving visiting adults from other planets, or the ones from the main government buildings, and the younglings knew this, tricking the protocol droid before it could introduce itself. If it had said its service number, Mil didn't even hear it. Second, this protocol droid had a loose gyro in its knee socket, slowing it down further. Rumors had the normally quick repair lab within the Jedi Temple being converted into something in for the war. Blasters or shields or whatever they might need. She wasn't even sure if that was for the clones or for the Jedi who fought with them now. General, she heard the clones say, which made no sense given the Jedi were either masters or Jedi Knights or Padawans, or like her initiates. It didn't really matter because nothing made sense these days, like how Vivre and the rest of her initiate friends jogged forward as if nothing bothered them at all. The Clone Wars, they called it, which she supposed was a fitting name since Republic now used a clone army, but wasn't it a war about systems leaving the Republic? Whatever name they gave it, one thing was clear. Every image, holoclip, or even discussion affected Mills, sometimes making her more ill than the worst bacterial infection. Her whole life simply being close to violence or suffering left a deep nausea, but it had only gotten worse with each passing day after the Jedi returned from Geonosis. Actually, returned was the wrong word for that, because many Jedi didn't return. Masters, Jedi Knights, Padawans, all manner of Jedi lost their lives at Geonosis. With that, sometimes even being in a certain part of the temple caused headaches and queasiness. Yet today seemed worse than usual. Her friends jumped out of bed, ate quickly, and sprinted down the hall to get the transport shuttle. Their words stuck on the idea of making their own lightsabers. Oh, is this the Gathering? Like we saw with the Youngling arc in the Clone Wars? Weapons of war, as the Clone Wars got worse with every passing moment. It made Mill's stomach hurt and temples pound. Gathering. It is the gathering. Her friends chanted. I hope they have the same droid. Beanie younglings, I know. Don't we just love the Star Wars younglings? They're fantastic. Her friends chanted in a group, a joy that she couldn't quite grasp. For several weeks, it was all they talked about. What color kyber crystal they wanted, what type of handle or emitter they wanted to use, or how Professor Huang, yes, Professor Huang, the droid, oh my god, love him, also voiced by a former Doctor Who, was so old that the ancient droid supposedly arrived at the Jedi Temple in a big blue box, thousands. Oh my god, bro! They literally, cause the voice of Professor Huang is David Tennant. He was also like the 40th Doctor or whatever in Doctor Who. And if you guys don't know about Doctor Who, he flies in this thing he calls the TARDIS. I forgot the acronym for it, but it's basically like a English telephone time machine box. I know, right? That's a lot of doctors, yeah. Cause literally his species, like, they regenerate, and every time they regenerate, they take a different form. The Doctor is a woman now, currently in the show. But yeah, the Professor Huang, the droid in the Gathering. My TV's about to give me commercials. No, cancel that. Yeah, he was one of the doctors, and so in this book it says Professor Huang was so old that the ancient droid supposedly arrived at the Jedi Temple in a big blue box. The big blue box, I know, is a hint at him being a former doctor in a TAR, so that's a nice little thing to it. Michi, yo, what's up, nerd? Shut up, ho! God dang. What's up, Jit? What it do? What's happening? Right now we're reading Star Wars, so stay in the background, Michi. You know, just have me in the background. You listen to my sexy voice as you fall asleep or do homework or eat or whatever the third thing is. JK, hi pop. Hello, my girl. How you doing? How was your Sunday? How was your Sunday? I'm gonna pause real quick. I just want to know how your Sunday's going, and then I'll resume. How's it going? I have a little chill beats in the background. Mommy Miki happy. It's been doing work all day. Yeah, I feel like everybody's been doing work today. Like, caught up on 6 assignments. Oh, that shit. Oh, that's good. Literally, because yesterday my friends wanted to hang out and have like a Yu-Gi-Oh competition thing. So my Saturday got busy, so I was kind of doing Sundays as a makeup day. So literally half the day is I streamed in the morning, and then I went to DoorDash for like a few hours, and then I came back home. I wanted to take a 1 hour nap. I ended up taking a 4-hour nap. I woke up, and now I'm doing this. Also, for the Kanade cosplay, the Kanade cosplay was great. But yeah, just talk in the background. I'm going to continue reading. 1,000 years ago, before ever teaching lightsaber construction, she felt well enough to fake it, laughing or joining in. Besides, lightsabers looked neat, and the way they hummed and buzzed, well, that seemed to be the best part of being a Jedi. But lightsabers meant violence. Violence meant suffering. And though no one could quite explain why Mill's particular connection with the Force worked this way, suffering made her sick. That's actually a very good way to put it, because that's what the Force is supposed to be. Younglings, the protocol droid called before holding the comm to its mouth, its shiny green plating reflecting the endless lights of the Jedi Temple. Attention, Padawan Quinn. The younglings have finished their meals and are awaiting you at the transport to Ilum. Understood. I'm rushing to get over there. Mill knew why the adults seemed tense this morning, actually since yesterday. The only thing anyone talked about in the temple was Cato the Moidia. The usual training sessions have been cancelled, with younglings handed off to various droids to work on acrobatics or meditation. The older Jedi rushed to and fro, some with their Padawans and some by themselves. They're saying the Jedi all over, to calm everyone down. Favorite said over breakfast, every system thinks they'll be the next. Next? Mill considered what that meant. She tried to shut it all out, to instead focus on what she could do. Take a breath, take a step, look at her studies, eat her meals, stay hydrated, to all to push herself to the point of getting into the crucible for the flight to Ilum. Once there, she figured she could at least get away from all the talk of war and horrors that just happened in Cato the Moidia. Oh, I just thought about something. because this book came out like right before the show. So I wonder if Mil Elizabeth is going to be one of the surviving Jedi that we might see appear in Obi-Wan. That'd be cool. That'd be pretty cool. All right. Where was I? Her studies and meals stay hydrated, all to push up to the point of getting to the Crucible up for the flight to Ilum. Once there, she figured she could at least get away from all the talk of war and horrors that just happened on Cato the Moidia. She did all that, and she did it all without connecting with the Force. That proved to be too overwhelming in a time of crisis. Mil, yeah, she couldn't be in this Clone Wars. There's too much fear and death in here. Mil pushed forward, her friends already down to the landing platform while the protocol droid fell woefully behind. Left foot, right foot, and repeat. She even managed to get some words out. Coming, she yelled to her friends. Wait up. She forced a smile despite the burning nausea in her gut and the pounding in her 2 Zabrak hearts. Oh, Zabraks have 2 hearts? Oh shit, I did not know that. Darth Maul has 2 hearts. Who would have guessed? She also made... Dang, no wonder he survived being cut in half by Obi-Wan. Man had 2 hearts. Kenobi! She also made it through until something caught her eye. She wouldn't have looked, but the glow of the hollow recordings instinctively tempted her focus, pulling her from the path to the docking platform to a small office off to her left, a few robed Jedi gathering around a bright hollow transmission. And then, for the first time, she laid eyes on Cato the Moidia. It was only a glimpse, a view from the sky of a long stretch of a city, draped in fog, except this city had a massive chunk missing from it. In its place rose lines of dark smoke. That was all Mil took in before her feet stopped, her momentum nearly causing her to stumble over herself. Her tan hands slammed to the floor, and the short tail of black hair dropped down, tickling the side of her face, some of it catching on her thorns. She thought of other things, anything to block out the images of the collapsed cityscape, and though she was far enough from the hologram that fine details eluded her, it didn't matter. When she closed her eyes, her connection to the Force brought it all to her unintentionally, like a navigational map of the fallen region, except with heat-like signatures pulsing. Not as a display of temperature, but an insight into the pain of a population. A wave of bright oranges and reds slightly screaming into the ether of the Force. Younglings, is something wrong? Do you require medical attention? She said, pushing herself up, but now the other initiates had gathered at the turbolift at the platform, and she took the step after step. The dizzying connection to the Force still causing her to stumble off center. She tried to close off from the Force, but her link proved too strong and it flooded all of her senses. What happened? I can't say join D4. Oh. I heard D4. I'm going to build a staff, Ami Kiat said. Spin it around. Slice through a line of battle droids like a buzzsaw. The mere mention put the image in Mil's mind, as if she were the line of battle droids falling victim to the wearying lightsabers. But rather than unfeeling machines, the sensation of violence rippled through her. No, you won't. They're gonna shoot 50 blaster bolts at you, and you're only gonna block one of them. Too slow, Vivian twirled, an imagery lightsaber in her hands. Felix spoke in his native language, a taunt in words Mil hadn't totally grasped, but yet which caused the others to laugh. Yeah, maybe. I'll just deflect them over to you. Hit you right in the face, Vivian replied with a laugh. Mil tried. She tried so hard to keep it together, so much that her knuckles were sore from clenched fists. But the more her friends' banter escalated, the more of the violence of their words whisked sensations into her mind, heightening the pain she already felt from the images of the bombing. Her leg gave out, knees hitting the floor, and though she supported herself with one arm, the last thing on her mind was Ilum and the gathering. This morning's breakfast injected out of her. Ew, a collective ew coming from her friends. M3, M4, what's going on? Yelled Malaria Quinn, the human female Padawan assigned to take them to Ilum. It is Initiate Alabeth, the droid said. It appears that this youngling is quite ill. Mil, right. Malaria knelt down, her blonde hair draping over one shoulder. She'd met Malaria before during other Padawan-led training, but sometimes in her face felt different, the lines of concern that weren't there before Geonosis. Are you alright? Viva came by, 2 hands on Mil's back. She forced a smile to reassure her friend. Yeah, Mill's connection to the Force is quite unique. I've never seen it like that before. I think if most Jedi had that, they wouldn't even be in the Clone Wars in the first place. Shit. I'm fine, Mill said. I'm ready for the gathering and to meet Professor Huang and the son of a lightsaber of all things, an elegant weapon for defense, yes, but a weapon nonetheless brought the nausea back. But now her head spun as well. I'm afraid you are not, youngling, Malaria said. She turned to the protocol droid, apparently named M3M4. Take this initiate back to the infirmary. She's going to need a different assignment while we go to Ilum. Mill nodded, saying the appropriate thank yous and goodbyes as she got herself up, but instead she made a new vow to herself. She wouldn't just quiet the Force, she would find a way to permanently cut herself off from it because she couldn't live like this. Chapter 9, Obi-Wan Kenobi. There you are, Obi-Wan called out right before he spoke. He spotted Anakin by himself, but stayed quiet. The Jedi refectory was nearly empty, so much so that Anakin must have figured no one would notice if he changed the configuration of the hall displays from a rolling list of schedules and menus to a pod race from some remote world. He waited until Anakin finished and settled into his seat, a simple vegetable soup on a tray in front of him, and gave his former apprentice several seconds to enjoy his setup before barging in. In return, Obi-Wan used the time to consider the scene in front of him. Anakin trying to bend rules to serve his personal desires. Here it was minor. Not that long ago, it was far more drastic, and a single memory flash, summing up Obi-Wan's worries in a few words. You will be expelled from the Jedi Order. Oh, damn, that's what he told him in Episode 3. He'd screamed it at Anakin as wind whipped into their eyes, their gunship soaring over Geonosis. In return, Anakin screamed right back, I don't care. But that was the problem. Anakin did care. He cared about so many things, including pod racing, that Obi-Wan felt like he was often the safety lock on Anakin's throttle, making sure Anakin kept from going so fast that he spiraled out of control. Yet now they were peers rather than master and apprentice, a war severing that protective tether and letting Anakin drift free among his instincts and his passion. Master, Anakin said, standing up so fast that his knees banged the table, the soup in his bowl sloshing in reaction. Obi-Wan noticed the subtle gesture Anakin made behind his back, cutting power to the holo display with the flip of a finger. I was just catching up on the Kia the Moria news and... It's alright, Obi-Wan said, waving his hand as if he was doing a mind trick. Though in this case it simply calmed the soup from spilling further out. Perhaps peace could be negotiated if we all watched sports and drank ale together. Actually, I've come to talk with you about your next assignment tomorrow. Anakin looked at Obi-Wan with the smallest twist forming on his mouth before it reset to neutral. Tomorrow? I thought I was shipping out in 2 days to oversee aid delivery to Langston. There it was again. Obi-Wan would have detected it even from across the room, but sitting right next to Anakin, it was unmistakable. The exact same ripple that he'd sensed earlier when Anakin came across Padme at the Jedi Temple. The cocktail of emotions had a different formula, but came wrapped in the same skin. She was nowhere to be found, so why did he feel this way? A very strategic response formulated in Obi-Wan's mind. Oh, you still are. Tomorrow is local. His head tilted ever so slightly, measuring Anakin's response. Shouldn't interfere with anything you have planned. Ah, I mean, Anakin started before looking over at where the reflectory holographic projection had been. We're meeting with the Chancellor tomorrow, the newest Jedi Knight, that is. I didn't want to miss it. Anakin, you can catch a feed of pod race tournaments on any shuttle or transport if you know how to do it. Obi-Wan spoke with specific precision, something equally designed to disarm while also dig a little deeper. He paused, letting Anakin take a sip of soup before moving on to a new topic, something just as tactical. Oh, did I tell you I ran into Senator Amidala at the temple yesterday? It sounds like she and a few other senators agree with the Jedi using the opportunity to speak to Kia the Moria. I haven't seen her since Geonosis, but she looks no worse for wear. Anakin stood up again, a careful move that avoided any table collision this time. Then he knelt back to the access panel of the holo projector, his face completely hidden. If you run into her again, tell her I say hello. 1 second, he said, tinkering with the configuration. Can't let anyone know I was watching pod racing. Now Obi-Wan sat and waited, giving Anakin the space to restore the holo projector settings, but also himself the space to process what he'd witnessed, not visibly but through the Force. Because the same surge came at the mention of Padme like a button being pressed. Even without her physical presence, she occupied his thoughts, and the fact that Anakin didn't even try to shield it created a mental problem, a vulnerability that endangered both Anakin and the Republic. Almost got it, he called out. On one hand, Obi-Wan felt the pull to confront Anakin now about dedication and responsibility and all the other things Mace Windu had just lectured the group on, especially this moment when the balance of power across the galaxy was at stake. Infatuation and other trivial matters could wait, and as someone who currently sat on the Jedi Council, even on a temporary rotation, did he not carry the responsibility to ensure the commitment was pure and resolute among the Jedi Knights? But then a flush came to his cheeks, something that made him thankful and that Anakin still tinkered with the holoprojector. Because Dex knew how to see right through his old friend, highlighting Obi-Wan's own hypocrisy in the matter. And besides, right now, Kayden Moida was his priority, and his personal feelings about Anakin could not interfere with that. There we go, Anakin said, popping back up. The refectory is usually a mix of information returned to the display, and as if the process resets Anakin himself, Obi-Wan detected no further changes in Anakin's through the Force. No one is the wisest, so I hear you're off to Kayden Moida tomorrow. Words travel fast. You know I should be there with you. Obi-Wan had heard variations on that statement before, and in some cases it came with the intimation that Anakin considered himself more powerful, more capable, and the obvious solution. Damn. In this case, though, his voice, his posture, the concern on his face all came across as authentic and unexpected maturity. What an interesting change in attitude. I would much rather have that, but we must abide by Count Dooku's caveats. He would smartly back the Jedi into a corner. It must be me alone. Anakin's discomfort at the idea painted his entire expression, a stony silence as the young man tried to will his way into the situation. Even though I'm sure that the Trade Federation would love to hear your take on the galaxy's best pod racers, perhaps you could even inform them of your favorite underdogs, he said, allowing a smirk to come through. Anakin returned the smile, building a bridge between the two, perhaps even a silent acknowledgement of their equal status. At the very least, it cracked the tension. I wish he started before his voice trailed off. Another surge of emotion came like a wave, but rather than a complex of mixed feelings, Obi-Wan sensed. Was that regret? I wish Master Qui-Gon could see us now. Anakin often left Obi-Wan flustered, sometimes with his bravado, sometimes with his stubbornness, sometimes with the way that the bravado and stubbornness always pulled off the impossible. But this came from sheer surprise. Anakin barely mentioned Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan. How much did the slain Jedi Master occupy his thoughts? I'm sorry, Master, I shouldn't have. He would be proud of you, Obi-Wan said, a pure sincerity in his voice. Qui-Gon with such belief that Anakin was the chosen one. Whether or not that was true, it was hard to argue with Anakin's accomplishments. His faith would be rewarded. They sat in silence for several seconds, the only sound that of cutlery and plates from the far across the dining hall, both of them now silent. Finally, Anakin pushed things forward, as he always did. I really should fly out to Kayden Moida as backup. I don't trust Dooku, or the Trade Federation, or the Moidians in general for that matter. That's not within the parameters of the mission, unfortunately. Anakin gave a quiet laugh, then shook his head. Wait a minute, are you telling me that Jedi Knights really do still follow all the rules? We thought that was something you told the Padawans to keep us in line. Indeed. In fact, I think you'll find that life as a Jedi Knight is much easier when you stick to the rules. Improvising tends to only invite trouble. Speaking of which, Obi-Wan brightened, and suddenly he found himself trying to contain the urge to chuckle. You should have a plan for tomorrow. What is this mystery assignment? It is something far more challenging, far more emotionally taxing than a simple negotiation, but it is a rite of passage, something notched on the belt of every Jedi. Anakin's face crinkled in curiosity, and Obi-Wan knew he had his young companion exactly where he wanted him. You must meet with the younglings and pass on your wisdom. Anakin's laugh echoed through the nearly empty hall, enough that it caught the attention of the group of Padawans in the far corner. Okay, seriously, what's the assignment? Anakin, Obi-Wan said, placed a hand on his shoulder. I am being completely serious with you. Anakin's eyes grew wide, and he began to slowly shake his head. No, you can't be. I'm afraid I am. This can't be about lightsaber techniques or physical manipulation of the Force. You must teach them the wisdom you've gathered on your journey from a Padawan to the trials. And Obi-Wan bit his lip to hold his laughter. You must answer their questions, all of them. That's right. Teach the babies. And that's the end of chapter 9. The hell? I would like to keep my face hidden from the police. No, police don't know you're hidden. What the hell? True, but international trade has been. What the hell is Michi talking about? Has a special sugar gone up him? Oh my god. Is that sugar cocaine? OMG, so much pod race talk. Listen, Anakin loves pod racing. I'm the only human who could do it. Yeah, he had to talk to a few people for them to lower the price. Once a special. Bro, Michi, are you selling drugs? Oh my god, that special sugar sounds like cocaine. What are you, Pablo Escobar? I'm forgetting Pablo out here in the chat. We aren't talking about anything illegal. Look away, Palp. Please. Oh my god, I know you're talking about shit that's illegal. She's selling spice and sugar. Hey, look, all I'm saying is I want to cut. I want 40% of everything you made. Just regular, ordinary stuff. Actually, you're right. Let's not let Jeff Bezos know that we're selling illegal shit on this stream. Yeah, we're just selling sugar and spice and everything nice. Wait, are we making the Powerpuff Girls? Oh my god, are we selling the Powerpuff Girls? Is that what we're doing? Is that what's happening? It's great as medicine, OTC drug, and even alcohol if you mix it in drinks. Michelle, you are a danger to yourself and others. Kind of like Anakin. I don't trust this. We are the Powerpuff Girls. You would be freaking Buttercup. Yes, I do. Chapter 10, Rogue Cornum. No matter how much she showered, Rogue felt the accumulated grime of recent days cling to her body, a stench of decay that refused to let go. Hours of inhaling fumes, getting caked in soot and debris, or desperately hoping that some life remained in yet another uncovered body, all made for an endless toil that left a thick film on both her body and mind. She'd washed away the guard station in Zara's capital complex, offering facilities just as ornate as the government offices. Yet, despite cleaning up along with the complete change of clothes and a decontamination of her custom armor, her body felt raw, as if the mist of the surface had burned skin away and exposed her nerve. She walked across the top floor hallway by herself, a case in each hand one of these pieces and modules of her rifle and one of the segments of her custom armor. Rook always took these back to her quarters, not for safety purposes. Every member of the Nemoidian Royal Guard had a secure locker for equipment, but because without them, she simply felt incomplete. Around the corner, an open balcony allowed Kea Nemoia's breeze to sting her face. She turned, taking a moment, and though her view of the cityscape was high enough that she could see the trailing fumes of smoke from Karasura, the flashes immediately below her drew her attention. One story down sat a flat courtyard, a simple outdoor facility for security force training, and in the middle of it knelt Qatar, rifle popped against his shoulder. He fired muted yellow bursts of training bolts zipping across the space toward training battle droids. The bolts absorbed into their light shields, though each droid deactivated upon impact, all except the last, which started marching faster. Vastu, Kastar cursed aloud, enough to echo into the ear. Then he stood and approached the remaining droid, rifle up. One shot rang out, and then another, then a third, each directly hitting the battle droid. Poor battle droids. Oh, excuse me. Its body went limp, arms hanging down. Vastu, Kastar let out again, though this time it clearly didn't have to do with an accuracy. Another flurry of bolts flew into the droid, but with its shields deactivated, the training rounds burned dark patches on the droid's outer shell. He fired again, and the impact knocking that single droid over. Rather than stand down or reload, Qatar flipped the rifle over and started to smash the droid's head with its stock. Dang, that's droid rights? Chips of alloy broke off, splintering in different directions until Qatar fell into both knees from frustration and exhaustion, or both. Rug understood. She'd been around death and destruction a long time, and even still, nothing had come close to Karasura. She dropped her two cases over the ledge, then leapt over herself, twisting to land in a roll that safely carried her momentum forward. The noise caught Qatar's attention, and the young guard looked up. "You know, I can teach you to vault like that," Rug said, neatly stacking her case on top of each other before approaching her partner. "Might be a better use of your time than target practice." She pointed at the now headless battle droid and collapsed beside them. "I think you win. It's not target practice," Qatar said, almost too soft for her to hear. Yeah, she said, playing herself next to him. I get it. Sometimes you just gotta blast a droid. Damn, droid rights, man. Stop blasting droids. She picked up twisted pieces from the battle droid's smash head, or beat the poodoo out of it. Dang, these poor dang battle droids, bro. Justice for the battle droids. Shout out to my B1 battle droids out here. Guitar reached down toward the mess of servos and wiring sticking out the droid's neck, though he stared off at the mist above the buildings. I just can't understand it at all. Hey, Rugg said, one hand on his shoulder. You don't have to. That's not your job. How can you not try to, though? The rifle fell to a textured training surface, and the long green fingers pressed against his closed eyes. How can anyone justify this? Those questions demanded answers. Questions without sense. An answer without logic. Questions with no answers. They came for everyone who engaged with war for the first time. Even for someone who felt her own compassion broken apart and rebuilt so many times, Katasura made Rugg interrogate what little faith she had left. Except right now she couldn't let Qatar see her own fragility. Our job is to help people. You did that today. Rugg squeezed his shoulder, yet Qatar remained motionless, face in hands. She debated going into soldier mode. On your feet. Treat your weapon with respect. But a catastrophe of this size meant that every single person in the capital, on the planet, perhaps even the sector, processed it differently. Rugg chose the only thing they could do at a time like this. Kale the Moida is counting on us, she said in quiet but steady voice. Though it took several seconds, that sentiment seemed to worm its way in, and in at least enough for Qatar to meet her face to face again. Emotions intensifying the color and cracked pupil lines of his eyes. Rugg stood, then held a single hand out, and while she waited, she listened to the sounds of other people walking around the government complex, of speeders flying to and from landing platforms of the planet's intense winds swirling around them. And when he was ready, Qatar took her hand. Rugg pulled just enough to boost him, and though the young man stood taller than she seemed as tiny as a newly born Nemoidian in a grub form. Oh, baby Nemoidian. You should get some rest, Rugg said. We have a lot to do tomorrow, people to help. Yeah, Qatar said, face pulled down. He bent over and picked up the fallen rifle, then slung the strap back over his shoulder. I mean it. Get some rest, Qatar grunted an affirmative, though by the time Rugg got to her equipment cases, the training droid had powered back up again. Halfway out, she turned to see him returning to an attack posture, the stock of his rifle against his shoulder while both launched just off target. She considered telling him that he could adjust the stock of a few centimeters lower for better stability, but chose not to. Instead, she left him to burn off his frustrations as she considered her own armor in one hand and rifle in the other. Chapter 11, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The last time Anakin walked with Obi-Wan to a transport, they had been master and apprentice. Today, though, Anakin seemed like a parent giving their youngling advice before heading to camp for the first time, except this lecture was about Nemoidian culture. Clearly, he spent the evening either at the Jedi Archives or talking to someone who knew just as much about intergalactic relations as Dex. Both options offered a way to avoid thinking about the actual speech he had to deliver to the younglings, so perhaps it was a strategic choice. As they approached the landing platform, Anakin's tone took a marked shift. He'd been so focused on details about things like the ruling class only represents a small percentage of society's culture, and conflict often comes from failure to listen, that his sudden demeanor changed once they got within view of the transport to the shuttle proved surprising. That thing? Anakin asked with a completely different tone. He stopped to point at the small craft at the end of the walkway. It wasn't the worst thing Obi-Wan could fly. The transport had probably been in service for about a decade, perhaps during Chancellor Valorum's turn, and it had been well cared for, meeting Republic standards for service and maintenance. But it was a far cry from a sleek and combat-ready Jedi starfighter. Obi-Wan detested flying. Flying is for droids, according to Obi-Wan. But at least Jedi starfighters were maneuverable enough to feel like an extension of one's own body. This ship might not even outrun a maintenance droid, dang. To comply with Dooku's request, no Republic cruisers within the vicinity, no starfighters with attack capabilities, just, Obi-Wan said, getting me from point A to point B. Anakin shook his head as they resumed their walk. Behind them, a small astromech droid lugged a crate of basic supplies, not just for essential hygiene, but also for investigation. I should be there with you. Now, perhaps it'll be simple this time. Simple with the Trade Federation. With Dooku likely hiding nearby with Nemoidians? Yes, but Anakin, you're forgetting one key point. What's that? He asked, his brow furrowed, like wondering if there was something from his earlier details that he'd missed. Whenever it's us, things get complicated. That time with Shakti on Naran Shiv, that nest of Gundarks, Obi-Wan laughed. Geonosis, maybe the trick is to separate us and things will go smoothly for once. No, episode 3 proved that is incorrect. For once, Anakin repeated, his tone lighter but still carrying the weight of the mission with it. Anakin, Obi-Wan let out a quick sigh. We will have to learn how to handle things on our own. This will be a change for both of us. You're just upset because you can't have me do the flying. That may be. They reached the shuttle by now, at least enough that the droid pulled away from them. It maneuvered around them, silently tugging the floating supply crate to the cargo door. Even still, you have the harder task. They both stopped, the wear of the droid's servos filling the space as specialized inventory arm lifted Obi-Wan's gear into the hold. Around them, clones walked in groups to the larger transports. Shouts of "Yes, sir!" mixed in the random jabs about clankers and scrap. Across the way, Obi-Wan spied Quinlan Voss. Hey, Quinlan Voss is in here. Our nice, chill Jedi. Shrugging off the assistance from a droid as he packed spare parts into his own Jedi starfighter for launch. Voss noticed, tossing his long hair back before shooting over a wink and closing the craft's equipment hatch. I don't envy you, talking to younglings. I'm just off to stop a war. I've been studying the Nemoidians, Anakin blurted out despite Obi-Wan's effort to keep things light. Clearly, there are more details to understand. I should send you hollows on negotiating with them. Pushing boundaries to get his way certainly fit into Anakin's usual approach, but it wasn't like him to do something so academic. This strange appreciation of nuance and methodical details was quite the opposite of his usual preferred approach of aggressive negotiations. We love aggressive negotiations. Sometimes Obi-Wan had wondered if Anakin purposely slacked on political studies just to goad the opposition into making the first move so his lightsaber could do the talking. Probably. The other point of view was that this change represented a compliment. Perhaps his former apprentice did learn something about the art of negotiation during all their time together. Obi-Wan chose to go with that, quelling the still reflective instinct to snap at Anakin about knowing his place. Equals, he reminded himself. He was no longer responsible for molding Anakin. That was the galaxy's job now. No transmissions. Besides, once I reach Cato Nemoidia, my communication to the Republic will be jammed. Only through official means. The comment caused Obi-Wan to raise an eyebrow, and Anakin reached down to his belt. Remember this? Coruscant's sun lit up Anakin from behind, causing Obi-Wan to take a second to squint at the small object in his hand. Anakin, he said with a sigh. Of course you remember that. A modified comlink, one of the Rasbone's high encryption long-range models. Something Anakin tinkered with on the fly during a mission to the Terrace several months before Geonosis. Terrace's nearby sector, God, I can't read today. Nearby sector experienced a constant flood of ion storms to dampen communications, and the only way to boost the signal was sending them through layered data packets. Anakin's engineering proved successful, the result being an inherent encryption for a powerful and secure comlink between the two. Look, this isn't breaking any rules. You've pledged to avoid any transmission to the Council. I'm not on the Council, Anakin said with a shrug. And you're not supposed to contact Coruscant. I won't be on Coruscant either. I'm off to oversee medical supplies on Langston. As far as the Trade Federation knows, this could simply be your means of watching, I don't know, the final race of the Fire Mountain Rally in a few days. Torn towards attempting a sweep of the regional circuit and... Anakin, how much sport did you actually watch as a Padawan? Enough to know how to switch the refractory feeds, Anakin said with a knowing grin. I'm just saying, easy excuses for having the comlink. Obi-Wan supposed he shouldn't have been surprised, and though he never said it, he hoped all those unauthorized viewings of the galaxy's biggest races gave some comfort during Anakin's hardest years. I'll keep that in mind. But Anakin pulled out another object, this one, a shiny black case, and with this you won't have to worry. This case will keep it safe and hidden. It's made from a partially frick alloy, might even be tough enough to withstand a lightsaber. You didn't test it? The docking bay's light reflected off the case's smooth surface. The dark lines of frick mixed within something that probably wasn't quite as expensive. I've only got one of them. Hold up your thumb. Where did you get this? Obi-Wan asked, shaking his head but doing as he was told. The device beeped several seconds after encoding his biometrics. I have a friend who excels at stealth. Anakin popped the comlink into the case, then touched the side, prompting the case's lid to slide over the comlink. Obi-Wan looked over and around the case as Anakin held it up. It sealed so tightly that it appeared seamless. See, now no one will be able to tell what it is. Obi-Wan took the thin case, which was a little heavier than it looked, but it could easily stow away among his personal belongings, perhaps even attached to a piece of his equipment as a disguise. Anakin held up the cotton pop comlink, a similarly thin device just for emergencies. I promise I won't call you or track you. You'll follow all their rules. Such a small object was such a large safety net. And he was right. It did technically follow all the rules, and Obi-Wan could choose to ignore the comlink's existence if he wanted to. There was a certain pragmatism to having options, especially if Anakin kept his word on not checking up on him. Alright, Obi-Wan said, putting it in his belt pouch, but no communications from you. I will call you if I need something. Hey, Anakin said, palms up for emphasis. You know me. Several months ago, those few words might have come with resentment or defiance, but here, a cheekiness came through, and the look in Anakin's eyes lacked the usual judgment of the past, and instead arrived with a hint of amusement. What would life be without constantly fighting with Anakin? Obi-Wan smiled to himself. It'd be certainly have fewer headaches. I should go. They stood, eyes locked, as gunship ignited its engines. Its rumble loud enough to pause their conversation before it fled off to join its battalion. Goodbye, my young... He stopped himself before saying apprentice. Behind them, the droid beeped to the signal that his things were loaded. Goodbye, my young friend. May the Force be with you. He checked his pouch again to confirm that Anakin's encrypted communicator was safe, then turned to take his leave. Alright, Chapter 12, Anakin Skywalker. I think I'll read up to... We'll get to Chapter 16. Anakin waved at his former master, but Obi-Wan appeared to be too focused to see it. The shuttle hummed as its systems came to life. Excuse me. Then the docking bay rumbled with the groan and churn of engines activating, all louder and lower than the Republic's battle-ready craft. The shuttle was older, its lit-off process nothing like the smooth jump in and go of the latest Jedi starfighters. Instead, this shuttle, a transport probably built to hold 5 people and some supplies, tops growled on the same level as larger troop transports. In the small cockpit window, Obi-Wan sat, his posture straight and both hands on the yoke. The ship hovered, lifting a good 30 meters off the landing pad before rotating and zooming into the sky. Its distinctive chug-chug-chug sound gradually disappearing and blending into the never-ending din of Coruscant. Anakin held up his comlink and considered pressing the top button to open the channel, a way to both needle Obi-Wan and verify that it worked. But he put it away, having tested it last night with Padme in the security of her apartment. In fact, last night was all about the mission. It wasn't supposed to be they'd planned on quiet night in, simply enjoying the fact that they were in the same place at the same time for another night. But Padme had been in full senatorial mode, and despite Anakin's best attempts to distract her with physical temptation, the bulk of the evening involved understanding the nuances with Nemoidians, as a culture, with the local Nemoidian government, and with the Trade Federation as a larger entity. Padme's inability to turn it off was something that had already made their early marriage rocky at times. The process of integrating 2 wholly separate lives and personalities turned out to be a little more surprising than he expected. Even when they isolated themselves on the Naboo following the wedding, but he complied with her research request, loading up various articles and texts while she made notes, making him commit key points to memory to pass on to Obi-Wan this morning. Then they indulged themselves. Anakin picked joyriding through Coruscant's lower levels, Padme picked saving the galaxy through diplomacy. It seemed fitting, though perhaps tonight they might hit a happy medium. Across the way, Anakin saw a pile of junk gunship engine pieces, a stack of them waiting as spare parts or perhaps for scrapping. Maybe a clone technician just forgot them, but he reached out, his mechanical arm up, fingers lightly spread. The very top piston trembled before lifting straight up, and Anakin swept his arm left, then right, then up before settling it down. And while the object obeyed his command, it still lagged in both response and precision, like a starfighter's control and slightly loose wiring. The force flowed through his body, and his arm was part of his body, synthetic or not, but it still didn't feel quite right. "Can I help you with something, General?" a clone asked. General, that still didn't make sense to him given the separation between Jedi and the Grand Army of the Republic. He passed trials to become a Jedi Knight, not a military leader, but he figured this was a clone commander, an individual, but still working within the parameters built into his body and mind. Whether they had the ability to move beyond that, time would tell. They do. We do realize that. We love the clones. Though for now, he found them remarkably human in a good way. No, Anakin said, just here to wish a friend well on his mission. Understood. The clone turned around and joined the group lineup as a far transport, all of them identical in their size, voice, and armor, except for a distinguishing collar trim. Anakin looked back up at the sky that enveloped Obi-Wan, other shuttles, and ships coming and going while a light cruiser hovered low enough to be seen. Then he turned around and headed for the exit. He had younglings to deal with and wisdom to pass on, whatever that meant. And then one final night with Padme, hopefully without politics or war, just husband and wife. AKA booty butt cheeks time. I like one more class. All the love back, pal. Of course, I love you guys. Sorry I died. But she is reborn. You better not fall before you make it there. Are you a ghost? Yes, I am. That's why you can see. You went to Force Heaven already? Oh my god. Listen, Force Heaven was supposed to be for later, not now. You're going to Force Heaven already? I told you, Mishi, if you die, I'm dying, so shut up. I guess I have to go to Force Heaven. Just give me like a blue tint. You stop drinking on stream. I can do whatever I want. Drinking on stream. I can do what I want. Come and stop me then. Alright? As long as you believe in the me that believes in you two influencing young people. Oh my god, you do that too? I like to start when they're 9. You know. I like to watch their career with great interest. You know, and then turn them into giant metal monsters. Like 10 years later. Oh my god. Oh. Madam, excuse me. I'm reading. You're interrupting the book club.
Okay.
And you can't stop me. I can do whatever I want on my stream.
What are you drinking, huh?
Don't worry about it.
What are you drinking?
Don't worry about it.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking magic juice.
That's messed up. He's drinking magic juice.
Huh? What the hell? He's drinking vodka. I love me some vodka. Give me that Russian drink that they consider water over there. Freaking, she just called me to ask me to stop drinking my damn juice, bro. Michelle, I could do what I want. I do too. I think you're speaking like Master Yoda right now. Go and sleep. You have school. Isn't your class like 7 in the morning? You're gonna go in class and die, and then you have to stay there basically the whole day because you're at class like 8 p.m. at night. Go and sleep. Chapter 3, Rug Cornum. 10 a.m. Oh, well, apologies. 10 a.m. Excuse me. I will sleep when it is required. So basically when your brain decides to kill you. Oh dang, that's still 8 hours left. She good. Alright, fair enough. She is still good. I mean, I'm trying to account for her driving there too, but yeah, she good. Knowing her, she ain't gonna sleep till she's not gonna sleep till 4 o'clock in the morning. Much of the past few days have been spent below the mist. Rug and Qatar down on the surface doing everything from clearing rubble to stopping fires before they reach explosive gas lines to administering emergency medical aid. And though her long history as an operative involved murder both up close and from afar, nothing ever quite matched the sheer devastation of what she saw in the fallen Kadusura district. But the Caledonian government still functioned, handling the usual business of the local municipality while coordinating with the Trade Federation. And on a public level, they continued posturing with both the Republic and the Separatists. That meant that standing guard ships still had that No, that meant that standard guard shifts still happened. The peers swapping the chaos of the surface for the near quiet of government hallways. During that time, Katara didn't heed any of Rug's advice on uh, temper tempering his emotions, particularly now when he accompanied his duty with long diatribes about the Republic's responsibility for the devastation, and how Newt Gunray's splinter faction made sense given the long history of prejudice in the Republic. Rug's response was to let Qatar get it out of his system. She chilled like that. It just went on for so long, and the Republic, he said, his harsh whisper having grown into something much more audible. The Republic does not respect any of our culture, our people, my parents, they. Qatar, Rug asked after what must have been several minutes of a continuous tirade. They stood on opposite sides of the opening doorway on simple guard duty, a lifetime away from endless fires in the breeze far below. The intricately carved stone walls and exquisite ceiling murals of Zara's capital complex, a stark juxtaposition with the destruction still looping in Rug's memory. But here at least Qatar's rants, which began to border on nonsensical, distracted her. Down the hall, government officials passed, probably out of earshot from their low conversation. Yeah, did you get any sleep last night? Qatar straightened, blinking as he adjusted his weight. He peered down the hallways and the morning and the moon stopped their conversation and turned to observe. Right, he said, the voice returning to a volume more fitting for guards standing on duty. Well, what? Did you get any sleep last night, like Michelle? No, I didn't. After those training droids? Guitar looked down at his boots, a quiet laugh soon growing into a chuckle. No. You fought even more battle droids, didn't you? Long into the night. Of course he did. She supposed she should at least commend Qatar on constructively getting out of his rage. Though doing so clearly left him lacking the faculties of a well-rested, well-nourished royal guardsman of Kael Namoidia. I hope you at least cleaned up after smashing any of them, Rugg said, light enough that a smile came with it. Qatar laughed again, shaking his head. A gesture loaded with enough of an apology that Rugg decided to call it even. In fact, she laughed too. My body lay onto the sleep until his formula is broken. Once again, distracting the pair attempted to have a discussion down the hall. At least their shift ended soon. No more practice droid tonight, Rugg. I want to make a difference, he said, his voice laced with both desperation and defiance. Okay, look, her voice maintained the control whisper to not give away the fact that they were chatting instead of performing guard duty. I'll take you down to the surface in the evening. We'll investigate what we can up close, but only if you get some rest after this shift. Go to your quarters, watch a hollow, have a Grick ale, maybe both. That's an order. We're equal rank. Your orders don't count. That's an order from the rank of experience and age. Hey, like Captain Rex said, experience outranks everything. And concern for what is worth. She shot him a raised brow, and his ensuing grin and nod showed that maybe she'd gotten enough to her friend. Then a new voice entered the space from within the room they guarded, simply to ensure that everything the Republic does is trustworthy. Rugg's history of missions and training had taught her to pick up all details that identified a situation. Tones, sounds, environmental factors. Her mind worked in a constant scan, gathering information to know how much about the current situation as possible. That led to a running log of all the Nemoidian officials and dignitaries in and about, both with typical Trade Federation business and with local handling of the disaster. But his voice was unfamiliar, its oily speech already carrying a different kind of cadence. It was female, hardened and spiteful. Sounds like Michelle. JK. A gravel to it despite the dignified word it used. I'm honored to support you during this difficult time, she said, the smallest changes in inflections activating Rugg's suspicions. We appreciate your presence, Minister Aluv Ayam said, but we have assurances from the Republic that the Jedi is arriving alone, an unarmed shuttle, not a starfighter. A trick, the guise of diplomacy. How dare look at this chat, pal. What's going on in the chat? Just simply dance to your dead? What? Michi, all we have to love, support, teach you, we cared. Revenge, bedtime, procrastination is both a blessing and a curse. Yeah, I was so happy to tell her about it. I'll try that. Let me teach you the fish or crab. Stop it, stop it. No fish or crab dances here. All right, this is forbidden. Why not all? No, 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 Mr. Tape. No, do not do it. You hurt my feelings. So mean. You know, I give love and I take it away. That is what I do. You know, I am Palpatine and Darth Sidious. I am both the Lord and the Senator, the kind old man and the wrinkly old bastard. Apologies. At least their ship ended soon. No more practice droids tonight. Rug, I want to make a difference, he said, his voice laced with both desperation and defiance. Okay, look. Her voice maintained a controlled whisper to not give... Wait, no. Oops, I already read that. I was at that. Oh, yeah, I was at this page. Alright, my bad. Sorry. A trick. The guise of diplomacy. The Jedi are known for such deceptions. Several meters away, Rug saw Qatar tense up. His attention pulled from standard guard duties to his conversation. Don't forget, Count Dooku used to be one of them. He understands their ways. Despite the tragedy of recent days, I personally have only had honest experiences with the Jedi. Then you are a fool, she said, the harshness of her words echoing through the room. The footsteps stopped, all of them hesitating. The Jedi have convinced the entire galaxy of their righteousness. I see through them. Count Dooku sees through them. We will reveal the truth of what happened here. Tell me, Minister, does the Republic have a history of treating the Mordians with dignity? Well, it has been a journey to find the right balance. Your diplomacy serves you in your role. I hear you are the best orator in the Kenobi government. My role is to speak and recognize truth, and my job is to help you understand where you should focus your interests. The galaxy is listening, Minister. Now consider what you know of those running the Republic. Do you think they're people to be greedy? Well, greedy may be. Do you consider them to be cowards? I don't see what. Do you recognize your art, your theaters, your music? The woman asked, each question pushing further into the tone of the man. Or has it all been swept away, lost in the noise of their propaganda? How much could the Republic actually respect the Trade Federation if their only official interaction is a single consulate office that is hardly used? With each passing second, Rug saw Katara react in subtle ways, fists tightening, boots shifting, and an exhale of grief. It has been a challenge at times. A challenge? That is one way to look at it. The woman's voice carried a playful lilt, and if Rug was able to see her, she was sure she'd spot a measure of grin. Tell me, who is the emissary of the Jedi? Master Obi-Wan Kenobi of the Jedi Council. Rug held up her guard rifle, sliding her hand down the composite, gripped to life from the interchangeable reflex of the short stub of chromium around the muzzle. She twisted it slightly, then looked at the reflection. There was Aluvia, Minister of Defense for the planet, and Feather Spar, another local official one who had been overseeing relief resources. And this new person, pale skin, a lithe frame, no hair on her head, but cruel lines. Oh, is that? Oh my god, I think that's Asajj. And this new person, pale skin, a lithe frame, no hair on her head, but cruel lines that appear to be tattoos, framing her mouth. And yep, this is Asajj Ventress. Our girl Asajj has returned in the book. Yes, I think this is the first time. This is the first time they're gonna meet Asajj Ventress, so that's gonna be great. She walked, and under a long cloak, the bottom of her dark shirt swayed out in a way that seemed more functional than decorative. I look forward to meeting this. She paused, then looked out in the doorway where Rug and Qatar stood, as if her eyes connected with Rug's through the exact angle of the reflection. Obi-Wan Kenobi. The woman's gaze lingered for several seconds, then she broke off from the group, marching directly toward their guard post. I have overheard someone here expressing frustration with the Republic, she said. As she broke the threshold, she walked a meter out into the hallway, then turned, Eons and Spar moving to catch up to her. The weight of the woman's look brought a pressure to Rug's senses, and she felt immediately that something about the situation was off. Had this person been here on some order of standard government business, a diplomat from the Separatists, a visitor from Trade Federation executives, everything could have carried a different air. The woman's piercing stare told a completely different story. Rug had met people like her before, people who tried to intimidate with their presence alone. Whatever her game, whatever her intentions, Rug wasn't having any of it. Guards aren't supposed to engage with passerby during our duty, she said quickly, meeting the woman's unblinking stare. It's disruptive. The side of the woman's lips tipped upward before she made a snap turn, then looked at Qatar. I appreciate the hard work of loyal guards. My apologies for getting in the way of your task. If, however, anyone wishes to discuss the previous transgressions of the Republic, she let her words trail off before stepping back toward the Nemorian officials. Rugg turned to Qatar, who stared straight ahead, but something behind his eyes had changed. I offer a sympathetic ear, and I will be easy to find. Rugg watched as the women and the officials walked away silently, cursing them as they departed. Chapter 14, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'll read for like 30 more minutes, and then I'll end at like 3 a.m. Obi-Wan hated flying, but this didn't even really count as flying, rather than the smooth controls and quick responses of a Jedi starfighter. This shuttle sometimes something so dated that he didn't even know the make and model of it. Felt more like nudging a floating box. When he turned the yoke, the shuttle responded a second late. When he boosted the throttle, it accelerated so gradually that no G-forces hit him. But at least the chairs were comfortable. That was one thing it had over Jedi starfighters with their cramped cockpits. Given the front compartment's roomy nature, he even brought his storage crate up to the front and examined the various tools to help his investigation. Things to detect chemical composition, examine blast points, compare the Republic's simulation with up-close evidence. And of course, Anakin's case. He held it up, the smooth, dark material gleaming under the colored status lights of the shuttle's interior. Would it really take a lightsaber to break through it? It was inconspicuous enough though that Obi-Wan opted to adhere it to the bottom of the chemical scanner, something that should easily pass any visual inspection of his belongings. The shuttle's comm screen blinked to indicate an incoming transmission. Finally, Obi-Wan muttered to himself before hitting a button. Dex's scowl appeared on his screen, the bang and clatter of the kitchen behind him. You have good timing. Dex, I'm just about to land. Well, you have bad timing. You called during the dinner rush. War is good for the restaurant business, at least on Coruscant. But I have your information, which isn't much other than to say that there hasn't been a lot of chatter about Kenobi recently. Nothing. Whole system has been clear of bounty hunter activity for a few weeks now. Some with spice runners, same with Dex last savory types. Nigga said I'm all through Jamal's motherfucker. Bro, people are retarded sometimes. So this is purely political situation. Obi-Wan said with a sigh, well, we'll see if negotiations can create a peace and end to this war. Further shouts from Wanda came over the audio. Dex glanced over with an annoyance grimace, then turned back to the comm in his small back office. It might work, which is better than it won't work. Thanks, Dex. You're very reassuring. You have been today's big HoloNet news. No, Obi-Wan said, dread creeping into his thoughts. I've been focused on mission prep. Let me forward it. Dex reached in and around the cam's view. Various beeps and clicks happening. There you are. Do you see? On screen appeared Satine Kryze of Mandalore. Oh shit, he sees his wife. She stood in front of the cam, making a speech from what appeared to be a balcony in the Mandalorian capital of Sundari. Despite her animated discussion and grand gesture, the audio didn't come through, with the news anchor speaking over the images instead. Is Mandalore proclamation of neutrality a truly political middle ground, or is Satine Kryze's recent speech part of a secret bid to aid the separatist movement? We discuss with our expert panel of analysts next on HoloNet News tonight. Obi-Wan tuned out the talking head, though the caption stood out clearly enough. Mandalore Duchess defies Republic in ongoing war. Our girl Duchess Satine Kryze. No, pal, I said it for the link. I put in the chat. No, I was just joking. I was just talking about when they were like, that man said I'm all three Jamals. People can be idiots sometimes, but that's okay. I see, Obi-Wan said softly. She's recruiting systems to push for neutrality. It's not going to help things. Obi-Wan had kept tabs on the Duchess as anyone would an old friend, but especially one who rose to power in a political situation as volatile as Mandalores. Yet most of those updates came in the form of reading summaries of speeches and governmental actions. He rarely saw Satine's face before his eyes, and doing so triggered a wave of emotions he recognized, the urge to dream of a different life, a different galaxy. Yeah, I'm child. Hello, child. I'm baby. Oh my god. You guys are too funny. There's a dream of a different life, a different galaxy. But as he always did, he let the thought flutter away, evaporating before ever taking root. Still, he found himself shaking his head, long enough that Dex must have noticed, even with the shuttle's dated comm system. This is different. Mandalore's entire history has been based on warfare. Getting involved would undo all of Dutch's work to create a new future for her people. I sense a little bias here. You're telling me that you wouldn't prefer Mandalore to be on your side for this? Dex cleared his throat. Or think about it this way. What if... I don't have time for theoreticals, Dex. One question, though, buddy. How bad would it be if Mandalore joined the Separatists? Obi-Wan looked at the shuttle's computer. Its estimated remaining travel time to get into orbital range was 23 standard minutes. That's not a concern right now, he said. We'll address it when it happens. I should go. Dex, I have a landing preparation to make. And I have diners to cook. Don't get yourself into any trouble, Obi-Wan. Wanda can't fly out there to help you. Well then I'll just have a cup of Jawa juice with her when I get... I wonder what Jawa juice is. I want some Jawa juice. I hope in Galaxy Edge they have Jawa juice. That'd be nice. When I get back, I'll tell her that. See you when you return, old buddy. Dex nodded and waved his top left hand. Then the screen blinked off, resuming display of fuel and speed details. Obi-Wan wanted to meditate, wanted a clear and level head to prepare for the formalities and negotiations ahead. But based on the flight time remaining, he allotted himself a few minutes to consider Dex's thought experiment. What if Mandalore came to the Republic's aid and Obi-Wan had to work with Satine? Would that be a greater challenge than Mandalore pledging himself to Dooku? Obi-Wan let thoughts flow through him, dwelling on them enough to process but without ever stewing on them. Though when he considered what might happen if, of all people, Anakin stumbled upon his history with Satine, he found himself smirking, and he allowed himself to hold on to the briefest moment of amusement. Hello, child, baby. I simp for Obi-Wan. If you don't simp for Obi-Wan, I don't know what you're doing. He's great. I simp for Obi-Wan. That's my space husband, Jesus. I love him. Obi-Wan's fantastic. They don't have it, but they do have Melu Run juice. Oh, they have Melu Run juice? For real? I didn't know that. Oh my god, the fruit from Star Wars Rebels. Going on some Melu Run. Dang, they have Melu Run juice, but they don't have freaking Jawa juice? Oh my god, come on now. Come on, Galaxy Edge. Gotta do better than that. And I want some of Dex's cake. You know, make that shit happen. If they had a Coruscant version of Galaxy Edge, you might have been able to go to Dex's Diner, but no. You get one freaking planet, but that's okay. Chapter 15. Chapter 15, Anakin Skywalker. Stop promoting unhealthy drinking. I could do whatever I want, okay? And it's not unhealthy drinking. It's good drinking. Okay, now you guys are just high at Hello Child Baby. You guys are high at late night hours. A vacuum in the Force. Anakin had felt this in recent weeks. Random pockets throughout the Jedi Temple. What's that mean? And only the Jedi Temple, where the Force cut off for a mere instant. Oh, he's sensing the kid that cut her off of the Force. Oh shit, okay. Also, that's what they feel in the thing. For a mere instant, like those rare occasions when a patch of air stood perfectly still despite being surrounded by outdoor breeze. Those pockets were fleeting, tickling his senses long enough to get his attention before dissipating into the flow of the Force. It had emerged more in the recent weeks, and he figured it simply had to do with the turmoil they all had felt at the outbreak of the war. So it's quite strange to feel it here, of all places, a small training room in the temple, a place mostly used for Padawans and initiates. He arrived a few minutes early, mentally prepping for the challenge of speaking to younglings, and as he walked in, another group bounded out, younglings across all ages, from one whose legs stumbled over each other to an older Zabrak girl. They all passed, though Anakin found himself reaching into the Force trying to make sense of the odd sensation. It echoed a long-lost feeling in himself, touching on something from his own early years, when an overwhelming loneliness drove a fury that nearly wedged between him and the Force itself. Master Skywalker, one of the younglings shouted. Oh, damn. Everybody knows he doesn't like being called that from younglings. I'm gonna get apple juice. Wait, let me get some grape juice. What? Oh, I looked for Dexter's cake and I found better than sex cake recipe. For anyone drink, because Pop is drinking, take a shot every time he reads the Force. Shut up. You're gonna get drunk if you do that. Wait, I'm gonna wait till he pause. Mr. Tape, join us and grab a beverage. Oh my god. You know what? Grab a beverage. Cheers. Beanie had hydrate and I have drinking juice. Apple juice me have. Chapter 5, Anakin Skywalker. 15, where were we? Where did I just live off? I got distracted. Oh yeah, when they call him Master Skywalker. Master Skywalker, one of the younglings shouted, interrupting his contemplation. And then another, and suddenly he faced a pressure quite unlike anything. His focus returned to the present. The younglings were listening. In fact, their attention seemed so rapt that it only increased the pressure on Anakin to say something brilliant. He had been able to recall and recite all the details Padme impressed upon him, informing Obi-Wan about things like Trade Federation government structure, Nemoidian cultural quirks, and how to say hello in Pack. And yet his memory fizzled while trying to speak in front of younglings, the speech he prepared completely blanking on him. This turned out to be much more difficult than all the other times he'd been assigned to teach younglings. Explaining Palatine safety, showing basic lightsaber forms during a train session, even escorting Jedi initiates to Ilum for the gathering. Those were all physical tasks establishing the basics of Jedi training and culture. But this was personal and complicated. What I learned on the way to become a Jedi Knight, Anakin started visualizing the speed he'd written on a data pad. All the powers available to the Force, physical miracles, sensory impossibilities, and mental alterations, and yet none of those gave him the snap recall for this presentation. He really should have brought the data pad instead of attempting to improvise. 10 younglings in front of him, all eyes trained on him regardless of age or species. Sorry, let me start again, he said with a half smile. What I learned on the way to becoming a Jedi Knight, humility, trust, focus, all of the tenets of the Jedi Order. But most of all, I learned about myself. Master? Yes, youngling, Anakin said, pointing at the cat Irangis, the young Mon Calamari girl with a thick white hand up. What's all tea? She asked in a squeaky voice. No, it's humility. That's why I said humility. Freaking younglings. I got sugar water. I have horrid memories from prune juice. I can never have it again. What? No. Yikes, haven't tasted that before, and I want to keep it that way. The reason why it's called prune juice, and even the name sounds terrible. Wait, he said, palms out. Anakin managed to stifle his frustration and reminded himself that he was supposed to be some sort of role model here. Of course, Obi-Wan would have laughed at the idea of him trying to explain humility. Humility is when you don't think you know everything. I mean, when you know you should ask for help. As in, there's no... His lips pursed, and he tried not to allow his exasperation to overtake him. Can we see your lightsaber? Oh, what color is your lightsaber? I bet it's green. Shh, you're supposed to be listening. No, it's blue. Anakin stepped back as the young spiraled out of control. Their discussion turned into a competition about who had watched more hollows of Mace Windu showing training moves with his purple lightsaber. Bro, I didn't even think about it. Mace Windu's lightsaber must be so much talk among the younglings and the Padawans. It's like, bro, I want a purple one. It's like, how do we get a purple one? It's like, dang, we just get blue and green ones. My doctor recommended it to me when I was really young, and I haven't had it since. Yeah, it's a bad doctor. When you cry while you throw up, you know. Damn. That's called pregnancy as well. JK. But also no. Whoa, hey, younglings. Their collective chatter grew louder and louder, and each time Anakin called for their attention, they steered themselves into their own conversations, like he didn't exist. He sighed head in hands and was just thankful that neither Padme or Obi-Wan was around to see this. The younglings eventually settled on their own. Once a dip occurred in their volume, he seized the moment. Younglings, look, let's save the questions for the end, okay? Some of them snapped back to attention. The younger ones lost in their own world. What I learned on the way to becoming a Jedi Knight, he started again. Humility, trust, focus, all of the tenets. One of the younglings yawned, throwing Anakin off. Several seconds passed, most eyes locked on him, and in return, Anakin bounced between each of their gazes. Anything he planned was completely gone, and instead he was left with a room full of younglings and 0 words of wisdom to pass along. He figured he had to figure out a way, but really this was what he excelled at on the battlefield. Surely he could handle a speech to younglings. I would say it's not what I learned, it's who I learned it from. Across my entire life, when I was young, I had a friend on Tatooine. His name was Kickster. Bro, shout out to the little Kickster. This man Kickster, oh my god. The little kid that missed a high five with Anakin. I'm glad that even all these years later, he still remembers Kitster. Bro, I hope we see Kitster on Tatooine and Obi-Wan. That would be so nice. Grown up Kitster. For anyone who don't know what we're talking about, let me show who we're talking about. This was Anakin's friend during the pod race in episode 1. Kitster. Star Wars. Kickster's right. I will this time. Bro, look at young Kickster, bro. Bring him back. Let me show you Kickster. Oops, wrong one. Damn it, hold on. This is Kickster right here. Bro, bring him back. Anakin's friend. I want this man back. Good old Kickster. Oh my god, look at him. Bro, if we see him grown up and Obi-Wan, that'd be great. It's a little Easter egg. Yeah, bring him back. Oh my god. Bring back little Kickster. He was actually on the actor who played him all those years ago. Actually, he's like on a Star Wars thing. He's fantastic. I can't believe Anakin still thinks about him even all those years. That's funny. I like that. That's a nice little take. Nice little thing in the book. Bring back Kickster. We want to see him in the Obi-Wan show. Anakin paused, thinking of the young boy with shaggy black hair and a confident grin. The endless pranks that he either played on Anakin or convinced Anakin to partake in. He took a moment, sending a wish into the Force that Kickster made it off Tatooine as well. Maybe he did. He helped me find joy during a difficult upbringing, showed me that we could find something worthwhile even in the barest of sand dunes. Oh, that's a nice touch. Now I'm gonna watch episode 1 differently when they're talking to each other and just thinking about their friendship. That's nice. My mother, he paused. The echoes of that night on Tatooine still fresh, and Anakin looked over at some passerby to hide his expression. She taught me compassion. She taught me to fix things. She encouraged me to be curious, to want more, to find a way even when the Republic's laws weren't there for her. Her memories turned not to violent, bloody final moments in the huts of Tusken Raiders, but tucked in bed, the Sun Dragon myth once again playing in his mind. Heart, she was all heart, and she wanted me to feel that way as well, to believe in my heart. My master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's on the council, one youngling said. That's right, he's helping out for now. Anakin left it at that, given that even he didn't fully understand who was rotating in or for how long during the recent chaos. Duty, honesty, hard work. He was a great example of that. See, this is the thing. Every single person you encounter in your life, you can learn from them, even if you only see them from time to time. My friend, Representative Binks, oh my god, Jar Jar. He mentioned Jar Jar. I can't believe it. My friend, Representative Binks, who gave executive power to the Supreme Chancellor. You know Representative Binks from Naboo? Oh, Jar Jar's famous? Dang. Look at that. Several of the children nodded. He walks funny, one youngling said. He taught me loyalty and to never judge people. You say he walks funny, but to him, that's how Gungans walk. As a Jedi, you'll encounter many different people. During your training, during your missions, politicians, locals, a smile formed on his face. Something that might have given him away in other circumstances. Royalty. Some of them you'll see again and again, and other times your path will only cross for the briefest moments. But you can learn from every one of those encounters because every being in the galaxy has something to offer. Sometimes he sucked in the breath, It just takes a little bit of patience to find it. Dang, Anakin. Dang. That sentence somehow made my heart break a little bit as he turned to the dark side. Anakin generally was Anakin, he cared too much, I think, which is not a bad thing, but Palpatine used it against him. But Anakin was truly he was probably the kindest person in the galaxy. And that's great. Jar Jar here being famous. Misa. Misa Jar Jar Binks. Oh my god. Oh my freaking god. Bro. Darth Jar Jar. Bro, look at him. Oh my god. Bro. That is absolutely terrifying. Oh my god. There's a long running joke in Star Wars that Jar Jar Binks is behind everything. Which is not true, of course, but the internet likes to make jokes. And then freaking people made but that's the scariest thing. I think that's for him in the Clone Wars when he had. We didn't watch that episode because it was trash, but that's funny. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Darth Jar Jar has returned. Jar Jar is the most powerful being in the galaxy. We got 8 minutes. We can make it, yeah. Hey, we're gonna make our goal 16. Yeah, perfect. Look at that, even with our distractions. The room sat quiet, the silence of children waiting for more. One youngling, a child with horns just beginning to sprout, slowly raised her hand. Master? Yes, that's a lot to remember, they said. It is, he said, and his laugh was contagious enough to cause the others to join. If you can't remember any of that, try this. I had a friend once. His name was Qui-Gon Jin. You may hear about him from time to time. He was a great wise man. He cared. And he questioned. He once told me right before one of the biggest moments of my life to feel, don't think, trust your instincts. Anakin felt the weight of observation behind him, and he turned to see Mace Windu taking a quick peek before moving forward, a familiar scowl on his face. Sometimes things like that, you might already know it, but it helps have someone trust give you permission, understand? A collective came across the younglings, and relief washed over Anakin. His original speech would have gone on 3 or 4 times longer than his impromptu list of people who'd shifted his life's direction, and yet it seemed like enough. Still, he had time to fill. All right, he said, arms out. Let's try questions again. One question at a time. All the younglings raised their hands. Please? I want to give him a hug? He looks huggable? Darth Jar Jar? You guys are crazy. Maybe regular Jar Jar, yeah, but Darth Jar Jar? I would not get close to that man. Even regular Jar Jar, I wouldn't get close to him. He's so clumsy. He would destroy me. Sleep paralysis demons are huggable, but you can't hug them since you have sleep paralysis. Oh, you're talking about sleep paralysis. I don't think you can hug sleep paralysis demons. Or maybe you shouldn't. 30 minutes and some cheap acrobatic tricks later, the younglings filed out one by one as a long overdue Padawan arrived to gather the initiates. Anakin gave a wave to each one, sometimes followed with a bye or a thank you. The last one exited, and Anakin looked at the chrono on the wall of the small training room. He set out to go to the Chancellor's office for the rescheduled formal introduction of the latest Jedi Knights. Such a task barely blipped in his mind. Many would have found meeting the ruler of the galaxy to be a monumental occasion, but for Anakin, it would be a watered-down version of the occasional breakfast or walks he had with his longtime friend. Did the others even realize that the Chancellor had enjoyed casual conversation with him ever since he arrived on Coruscant? That's right. I have been looking at him for a while now. They want company, but their presence makes you freeze up. If not, Anakin decided discretion seemed the smarter option. He received enough grief with rumors of the Chosen One spreading around at a time when Padawan competitiveness came out in all kinds of passive-aggressive ways. It didn't matter, really. He knew his friendship with Palpatine was genuine. It is. Which meant that Palpatine would take offense when Anakin barely paid attention during the formalities, because his mind would be elsewhere. On the final night, Padme would be on Coruscant. Instead of waiting for the ceremony later, Anakin let his mind indulge right then, wandering into a dream. Not the dreams of sleep when nightmares and visions often collided, but a waking moment when possibilities seemed endless. When a night with Padme wouldn't always be a fleeting moment slipping through their fingers. Anakin gave into the indulgence of the moment, imagining a galaxy beyond that, where he could do everything he was meant to do without any of the restrictions of the Jedi Order. Bro, Anakin was literally never meant to be a Jedi, even though he's the most powerful, force-sensitive to ever exist. It wasn't his destiny. A simple freedom to exist, to do things. Anakin and Padme excelled at that, yet free from scrutiny or judgment or limitations that forced them into wearing disguises and coruscants on the world. Perhaps someday it would be possible. Someday they'd be able to see each other every day. But for now, the reality of the situation was that they had one night. He blinked, returned to the moment. Now that would do. Stealth remained critical for two people such as them, and there was the allure of staying in and letting things naturally unfold between them. But spending time together was such a rare occurrence, something to possibly indulge in if they indeed have the means. And, Master, Anakin looked down one of the younglings back to grab a small bag left behind. Oh, hello again. His mind raced for the most appropriate way to close this out as quickly as possible. May the Force be with you. Okay, see you tomorrow. Right, By the time the youngling crossed the threshold, her words registered. Wait, what do you mean tomorrow? The mission, we're coming with you. You must be mistaken, Anakin said, reminding himself to use a gentle tone and let the youngling down easy. I'm off to Langston. We're delivering medical supplies. I know. See you at the shuttle tomorrow. The youngling turned on her heel, then sprinted off to catch up with her Padawan leader. Anakin took several steps forward past the doorway before stopping. The group of younglings disappeared down the long hallway, leaving Anakin to wonder if Obi-Wan was right. Dealing with younglings was much harder than stopping a war. And now we're on chapter 16, and we'll end it there.